There's a movie of a Conman named Catch Me If You Can. And I enjoyed watching it because you need to be a very astute mind reader to be a Conman, to succeed, as in his case. Frank Abagnale is the name of the person. And the funniest of the story is that after he got caught, I don't remember, several years or more, he flew around the world as if he's a pilot and forged the check and even made the suits to be the pilot or anything related to that. And the movie is fascinating. But when he got caught, he said he knew he's going to be caught sometime. And he said he was relieved when it happened. A wonderful thing following that is that he then taught many ways to prevent fraud. So he knows the other part of the puzzle. So he now is a lecturer or working at the FBI to train and let the people, the FBI guys, to be aware of all the traps that can happen. So that's the story of this movie. I found very interesting if you have a chance to take a look at it. But what I want to get at is that his knowledge of human behavior and how to go about, that's wonderful. And feel relieved and then turned around to be teaching what to be done is something that reminds me of Daisetz Suzuki, who wrote perhaps 60, 80 books, Japanese and English. And I read most of it. And the thought I had is that he can talk about Indian or Chinese or Christian or Japanese, Shin Buddhism, Zen, all the spiritual or religious field, and be able to communicate the essence of that, all from different angle. So what reminded me was that as much as Abagnale, I guess was the name, became a teacher, Daisetz's case was to be a lecturer or writer or teacher, at least for me, of the spiritual or the religious matters. To me, that's fascinating because I read most of it and I could see him approaching the difficult issue of God, spiritual matter, religious orientation, what could be a flaw and trap. And as he said precisely, it is like walking through a minefield, lots of traps to live life. Even to go through Zen, you have to go through those traps so that you can protect yourself, avoid the danger. Why he did that, I'm not going to go into detail, but he had an early age experience of losing a parent and living in the poor setting, not going to the school well, and had a hard time to think about why there's such an inequality. And then chose the path to Zen and into Shin Myokonin. He wrote a lot about it until the end of his life at 95. He wanted to write more about Saichi, one of the Myokonin. That was one of the sayings I remember. So that's the story of the fraud guy and the Daisetz. My story is that I was fascinated to Daisetz to the point I read most of his books And what happened is I had to go revisit and reread many of those lines I read before. And I did the same thing for the books of Nakayama and many others, not many, but at least several others that fascinated me or interested me. Living life is a dynamic process. Lots of traps. We go through certain experience from younger days to learn from parents, good and bad. As we grow up, go into different settings. In my case, I was a curious guy to explore the world, to live in Japan, but wanted to get out of Japan and experience different life. So I lectured and traveled around the world, 40 nations or more. And still not enough. There are lots of traps. At the old age 74, I still see the traps. So it's a very dynamic situation. And if you spend your whole life being a fraud conman or studying the religious matters, devoted whole life, like Daisetz, I lived my life interested in various things and learning from each experience to get to know the human world and what is best suited for me. And I did some work and also associated with the Zen and more religious matters, including Myokonin that I mentioned. It's a fascinating topic, fascinating world, amazing unknowns and discoveries. I'm happy I chose this path, so I write or post YouTube various matters from my experience, but also relating to other people's experience, which helps me to revisit, because I believe that notion of repetition is the mother of skill or the source of power. So you need to look at the situation from different angles and be able to synthesize so that you can be prepared for whatever comes, those unknowns. So what's the summary? I don't think there's any quick summary, but what I thought is that we want to find what we really like, which help the society, and that's the path that I mentioned to my son when he was 17. At the age of 74, I still feel the same. What I can add is that even if what you don't like, if it's really important, and if your passion is there, I think it's worth trying it. And you may like it to break through, because you grow yourself, possibly help society. There's no guarantee. But at least you're honest to yourself, review the situation, connect or try to connect to the root of who you are. That's the source. That's the energy source. I use the term waku-waku. It's a Japanese word, spring water coming out of the ground, one after the other, clear water. That's what we want to reach, connect, and explore, given the situation and given what we got. Each person has different personality characteristics, something very positive or something that is still need to be worked out. So the situation is the same for everyone, but each one of us may have to find its own solution related to those and have those elements captured, memories and images, and have them accessible. Let them speak out, come up with a solution, not mind-driven, but the source of energy-driven, so to speak. Life energy coming out, and then connect to that, to the society, mini society, whatever the way. Or maybe that society is not still there, but you devote for that. I believe that's what Daisetsu did. And I was impressed by the fact that he could do so many things. And I could feel the energy and sincerity and truthfulness of what he did. That inspired me. So there are those references, and I'm sure everybody has some references. Not everybody would have the same reference possibly, but we can exchange ideas and explore and find the passage. Individually we have to do it, obviously, because it's our life, each of us. But we can help each other, inspire, and have fun in the process. There may be a huge concern for the humanity that we may have to work out. We don't know that. But those who are sensitive, have good antenna, should try to do that. But those who are more accustomed to a certain area of expertise, and that helps the society as much as you like doing it, I believe you can align to that, your source of energy, and go for it, and go through the process of plan, do, check, act, over and over, or Shila, Samadhi, Panya, those things I mentioned before. And keep the mind open, clear, align the passage of energy. Get rid of the blockages by the power of the law of nature and our patience and sincerity and willingness to align individuals' willingness to the willingness of the universe. I think that's our job. Thank you.